Welcome to Cheat Sheet Tales, where secrets slip, lies unravel, and the truth always has a twist. Real stories, raw confessions, shocking betrayals. Drop a comment if you've ever caught a red flag too late. Now let's get into today's tale. They laughed when I cried after my promotion was sabotaged. That's what you get for thinking you're better than us, my sister-in-law said. Then my husband took their side, saying, "You were never really cut out for success." Anyway, they toasted over my failure that night. I didn't say a word. 2 months. Later, I sent them a package that left them speechless. My name's Marissa. I'm 38. I've worked at a mid-sized bank just outside of Kansas City, Missouri for over 10 years. I started as a teller and worked my way up to senior operations manager. I'm not flashy. I don't take selfies in the break room. I don't brag on social media. I just work hard. That's always been my thing. I was up for a promotion to regional director. It was a huge deal. More money, of course. But it wasn't just about that. It meant respect. Recognition. I put in late nights and weekends while other people were at barbecues and baby showers. I coached new hires and handled high-pressure audits. I earned it. I told my husband Derek about it when I found out I was the top candidate. He didn't even look up from his phone, just said, "Hope you know what you're doing." That should have been my first red flag. We'd been married 6 years. I thought we were solid. Things had gotten quieter between us the past year, but I figured that was just life. People get busy. But I noticed things. Less eye contact, less kindness, and more visits from his sister Jenna. Now Jenna, she always rubbed me the wrong way. Always had something to say about what I wore, what I cooked, how corporate I acted. She lived on the other side of town in a tiny rental with her burnout boyfriend Logan. She worked at a vape shop part-time and spent the rest of the day trash-talking people on Facebook. But Derek acted like she was God's gift to our family. Anyway, Jenna had started coming over more in the weeks before the promotion. Sometimes she'd stop by when Derek was home alone. Sometimes she'd bring food. I'd come home and find them laughing on the couch like I was the guest in my own house. I'd say something, and she'd smirk like I was being uptight. Then the worst night of my life happened. It was the night before the final meeting, where they were going to confirm my promotion. I had worked for weeks, preparing a big presentation. All my reports were on my personal laptop. I always kept it on the kitchen counter so I could work while cooking. That night, it was gone. Just gone. I tore the house apart. Asked Derek if he'd moved it. He barely looked up from the couch. "Maybe you left it at work." No, I hadn't. I didn't sleep that night. I was panicked. I tried to recreate the reports from email attachments and notes, but they weren't enough. The next day, my boss called me in before the meeting. She looked uncomfortable, said there were concerns, that someone had submitted evidence claiming I had manipulated numbers. There were fake screenshots, files that looked like mine but weren't. It was all stuff that had come from my missing laptop. They said the promotion was being put on hold. I wasn't fired, but I was told to take a leave of absence while they looked into it. I left work shaking. I got home and tried to explain what happened. I broke down crying at the table. And that's when I realized everything. Jenna was there. So was Logan. And Derek's mom had just arrived with a bottle of wine. I told them what happened. My voice cracked. My hands were shaking. Jenna didn't even pretend to care. She leaned back in her chair, smirking, and said, "That's what you get for thinking you're better than us." Pal actually laughed. A real laugh. "I mean, you've been acting like some big shot. Maybe it's a sign you should slow down." I looked at him, hoping it was a joke. It wasn't. Then he said the line I'll never forget. "You were never really cut out for success anyway." They poured wine and toasted, right there in front of me. "To reality checks," Jenna said, clinking glasses. I sat there, frozen. I didn't say a word. I just got up and went to the bedroom. I didn't sleep that night either. But this time, it wasn't fear keeping me up. It was something colder. I couldn't even cry. I just laid there, staring at the ceiling, thinking one thing. They think I won't fight back. They thought wrong. I called in sick, told them I needed time. I packed a bag and left while Derek was sleeping. I drove 3 hours to St. Louis to stay. With my cousin Kira. Kira is smart. She works in cybersecurity. I told her everything. She didn't ask dumb questions like, "Are you sure?" She just nodded and said, "Let's find out who touched that laptop." First, she helped me dig through my iCloud backups. We found signs of a remote access tool. Someone had logged in using a program that let them control my laptop remotely. It had only been used once, late at night. Kira traced the IP address. It wasn't our home internet. It was Jenna's. She had accessed my files from her place, copied them, renamed things, and used Logan's old email account to send the fake reports to my company. Then we found something worse. Derek had left his texts backed up to the iPad I barely used. I looked through them and found messages between him and Jenna. They were planning it. "You sure she won't figure it out?" "Nah, she's too focused on her dumb slides. If this works, she'll be stuck here. No job, no promotion, back where she belongs." Called me a pain in the ass and said, "I miss the days when she used to cook and shut up." They thought I wouldn't find out. They thought they could break me and laugh in my face. I didn't cry this time. I printed everything out. Kira helped me organize the documents. We included timestamps, screenshots, the login trail, the IP match, and the full text logs between Derek and Jenna. We even got video stills from our outdoor cam. Jenna used the spare key we kept in the planter by the back door. We saw her go in and come out with my laptop. I made 4 copies of the full package. One for my company's HR department, one for Derek's employer, one for Jenna's landlord, and one special copy, bound and labeled, went to Derek's mother. Then, I waited. I mailed all 4 packages on a Friday morning. By Monday, the cracks started to show. The first message I got was from my old boss. She left a voicemail asking if we could talk privately. I didn't answer. She emailed next. They had reviewed my evidence and were deeply concerned. HR was reopening the case. The director who once looked at me like I was a liar now sounded nervous and apologetic. That felt good. But I didn't respond just yet. I wasn't done. Next came Derek. I hadn't spoken to him in nearly 2 weeks. I had gone, no contact. He didn't even bother trying at first. I think he thought I'd come crawling back. But that Monday night, he blew up my phone with missed calls, then texts. "Hey, did you send something to my work?" "What the hell did you do? You're being childish. We can fix this," I didn't reply. I watched the messages roll in while I drank tea on Kira's balcony. Then his tone changed. "You're going to ruin everything. My boss suspended me. They're saying I breached client confidentiality. And then you'll regret this." That one made me laugh. Regret? He had already thrown away our marriage for a quick laugh and control. Now he was scared. Now he was losing. I waited 2 more days before answering my boss's call. I told her everything. Calm, quiet, firm. She apologized more times than I could count. I could hear in her voice she felt guilty. They officially dropped the investigation. She said my promotion would be reinstated and that I'd receive back pay for the time I missed. She even offered a relocation option if I wanted to work from another branch. I told her I'd think about it. By Thursday, the real storm hit. Pal got fired. His employer found out he had taken part in data theft. Even if it wasn't their client's data, it didn't matter. They couldn't trust him. He was let go on the spot. Jenna's landlord contacted her after getting the package. He found out Logan had accessed someone's private files from inside the home that violated her lease terms. She was evicted by the end of the month. But I wasn't done watching yet. I heard from one of Derek's cousins, Emily, the only one in that family who ever treated me like a human being. She said Derek had moved into his mom's house, but the mood wasn't great. His mother had read every printed message, every line of mockery. She didn't even yell. She just left them out on the kitchen table for Derek to find. Emily said he turned white reading them. Jenna came over to explain and got kicked out of the house after one smug comment too many. Derek's mom finally saw what I had seen all along, but here's where it got messy. Jenna went online. She started posting vague stuff on Facebook, talking about jealous women and family snakes. A few people in town thought she was talking about me. One of her posts had a picture of my old house. My house with my car gone, and her standing in front of it like she won. I didn't respond publicly, but Kira helped me again. We traced Jenna's public Wi-Fi use. She was still using Logan's laptop, and he was dumb enough to log into public forums with the same username he used to send the forged documents. We sent that info straight to the police, but before they knocked on Jenna's door, something else happened. Derek texted me again. "I lost everything. Are you happy? You ruined my life over one mistake. We were supposed to be a team." A team? He stood there and laughed while I cried. He raised a glass with people who plotted behind my back. Then he sent one last message. "I messed up, I know. Can we talk?" I stared at that message for a long time. I didn't reply, but I had one more move planned. I hadn't even told Kira about it yet, because I knew how to finish this, in a way they'd never forget. The message from Derek saying, "Can we talk?" sat there unread for days. I knew what he wanted. Not forgiveness, not a real apology. He wanted damage control. But I had already made my decision. Instead of answering him, I started working on the final part of my plan. I still had something they didn't know I had. A recording. See, about 3 months before everything blew up, Derek and Jenna were acting extra smug around me. I got this gut feeling something wasn't right. So one day, I left my phone recording in the living room when I went out for a walk. I had a feeling Jenna would stop by. She did. The recording caught the two of them talking in circles about how Marissa needs to be taken down a notch, and how Jenna could get into the laptop easy. At the time, I didn't think much of it, but now, it was gold. I sent a copy to my lawyer. Yeah, I had hired one. A woman named Alden Sharp. Calm and mean when she needed to be. She listened to the whole thing and looked at the rest of the evidence I had. Then she leaned back and said, "We're going to file." I didn't know this, but what Derek and Jenna did could fall under civil conspiracy and defamation, plus computer fraud. Logan, Jenna's boyfriend, was already being looked at by local authorities for impersonation and unauthorized computer access. With what I had, we could tie all three of them together. I told Karen I wanted a lawsuit, not just against Logan, but against Jenna and Derek too. It wasn't about the money. It was about dragging this into the light. Derek's family always wanted to play dirty behind the scenes. I was done playing polite. Meanwhile, word was spreading in our town. People started asking questions. Jenna's ex-boss, she worked at that vape shop, found out about the eviction and the investigation. She was let go. Official reason? Drama and legal distraction. Logan posted online about being targeted by psychos and having his life ruined by corporate B*cheese. It backfired. Someone leaked his old harassment complaint from a previous job. He got swarmed online, and Derek. He started showing up at places I used to go. Kira's church, my old grocery store, standing around like a sad puppy, hoping someone would talk to him. One afternoon, Emily sent me a photo of him sitting on the bench outside a Dollar Tree, alone, hoodie pulled up, face pale. She said he looked like he hadn't showered in days. I thought maybe that would make me feel good, but I didn't feel anything. Not guilt, not pity. Just nothing. It was like watching a stranger. But then something happened that did. Rattle me. I got an anonymous letter in the mail. No return address. Handwritten. Inside was a single sheet of paper that said, "Careful how far you take this. People break when they've got nothing left." No signature. No clue who sent it. I brought it to Karen. She didn't flinch. "We'll report it," she said, "but don't let them scare you." Still, I double-checked my locks that night. I knew Jenna was petty. But this was a new level. Alden had a PI she worked with. We hired him for a few days to see if anyone was following me. He didn't find anything serious. But he did see Logan parked outside my old workplace one night, sitting in his car, just staring. I don't know if he was trying to scare me or scare someone else. But it didn't work. If they thought I'd back down, they clearly didn't understand me at all. I was done hiding. We filed the civil case 2 weeks later. Full suit. Names listed in black and white. Derek, Jenna, Logan. The case became public record. And suddenly, people stopped talking behind my back. They started talking behind theirs. The moment that lawsuit hit public record, everything changed. People in town who used to smile at Derek or laugh at Jenna's gossip stopped returning their texts. I heard from Emily that even Derek's mom wouldn't speak to either of them anymore. She said, "I raised kids, not cowards." And then she blocked their numbers. The court date was set for 6 weeks later. In the meantime, I stayed quiet, focused. I got back into my job. My company relocated me to the St. Louis branch, and I moved into a new apartment. Smaller, but mine. Finally felt like I could breathe without looking over my shoulder. But behind the scenes, things were unraveling fast for them. Jenna tried to file a countersuit claiming emotional distress. Her lawyer dropped her after seeing the evidence, especially the audio clip. She'd said on tape that she wanted to ruin that uptight witch and watch her beg. Her words, her voice. Game over. Logan, thinking he was clever, went on Reddit to post some twisted version of events. He even posted screenshots that were clearly fake, but he forgot to scrub his username. And Kira found other posts where he admitted to messing with his girlfriend's sister-in-law for fun. We sent those to Karen, who included them as part of the updated evidence package. She grinned when she saw it. "He just handed us his spine," she said. Derek tried to get out of the lawsuit by sending me one of the most pathetic apology emails I've ever read. Subject line: "Please read from the real me." It was 4 paragraphs of, "I didn't know what Jenna was doing. I didn't think it would go that far. Can't we just meet and talk like we used to?" He ended it with, "I miss the old us. I miss your cooking. I miss your laugh." I didn't even reply. I forwarded it straight to Karen, who added it to our file. Proof that he admitted guilt, without ever realizing it. They looked rough. Derek had grown a beard, probably to look more mature. Jenna wore a dress that looked like it came straight from a clearance rack funeral. Logan didn't even show up with a lawyer. The judge was sharp. Older woman. No nonsense. Karen presented everything. Timelines, screenshots, audio, even Jenna's Facebook. Posts where she bragged about me getting what was coming. Logan's forum posts. Derek's text logs. Security cam photos of Jenna stealing my laptop. When Jenna tried to interrupt, the judge shut her down. "You had your chance to speak. Now, it's your turn to listen." She kept looking at me during the hearing. I didn't flinch. I didn't smile. I just stared straight ahead. I wanted him to feel what silence felt like. The same silence I gave him the night he let them laugh at me. After 3 hours, the judge ruled in my favor. She called it a clear, intentional act of sabotage and a disturbing abuse of trust. Each of them was fined. Big Logan was hit the hardest. Ordered to pay damages and referred for criminal prosecution. Jenna was forced to pay emotional and professional damages and serve 200 hours of community service. Derek? He lost it, right there in the courtroom. Started shouting about how I was the manipulative one, how I turned everyone against him. The judge told him to sit down or face contempt. He sat down. He had to pay me $45,000 in damages for loss of income, emotional distress, and legal fees. He tried to say he couldn't afford it. Didn't matter. The court gave him 18 months to pay or face wage garnishment. They all left the courtroom looking like ghosts. I stayed behind and shook Karen's hand. 2 days later, I sent one final package, a copy of the court judgment, with one handwritten note inside. This is what happens when you mistake silence for weakness. I didn't sign it. Didn't need to. 6 months later, Jenna works at a local grocery store now. I heard she tried to apply at another vape shop, but her name is too well known in the area. Nobody wants to deal with her. Logan pled guilty to computer tampering. He's not allowed to own or use a personal computer for 5 years. He's on probation and working construction to cover his fines. Derek? Last I heard, he moved in with an old friend in Topeka and is doing door-to-door sales. I saw a photo of him on Facebook, holding a flyer and wearing a cheap polo shirt. No smile. As for me, I took the job in St. Louis full-time. I bought a used Jeep and adopted a senior dog named Ruby. She likes sitting at the window in the evenings, watching the world move on. So do I. I don't check Derek's messages anymore. I don't look back. They laughed when I cried. They toasted when I fell. But in the end, they lost everything, and I found myself. All it took was one long breath and a little patience. Patience.